The book of Hebrews states emphatically, our God is a consuming fire. Are we not fashioned in his image? So at the core of being, this means I am a flame from the very heart of God in the great central sun. Ultimately, a threefold flame of love, wisdom, and power, the light that lighteth every man that cometh into the world. I am a flame spirit of God shining on the mirror of Mater. I am an active flame, a vital flame, and an eternal flame. I am a keeper of the flame. All else may fade, but the flame burns on forever and forever. Today, our study, as you may have gathered, is on the topic of flames. Flames as sacred fire, the highest manifestation of cosmos. Flames as God's virtues. Flames as stores of God's highest energy. And maybe most importantly, we study the science of the transference of the flame. My point about all this is what I consider to be an enormous untapped resource, an immense power that is available to us, the core energy of cosmos, the flames of God. There are many flames, flames of the seven rays, the blazing white ascension flame, the golden yellow purple cosmic honor flame, the brilliant white green tinged fearlessness flame, the ruby light tinged with white fire, the flame of the Divine Mother, the delicate mother of pearl flame of peace, the golden pink glow ray, the mercy flame ranging from pink violet to orchid to deep purple, and the steely white pink tinged flame of the Holy Spirit, of comfort, of peace, and countless more. Throughout the world, there are special radiating centers that act as fountains of vortices of force where these flames have been anchored and maintained century after century by ascended beings. Ascended masters have utilized such retreats since the beginning of time to radiate certain God virtues to mankind. It is these retreats of the Great White Brotherhood, these living, breathing spiritual centers that are the power plants of the planet. Most retreats are located in the etheric realm, others partly in the etheric, partly in the physical, with a few being wholly in the physical world. They are often located within mountains and other places unapproachable by the curious. Our beloved Guru Ma has told us that she has had many experiences of traveling in her finer bodies to these etheric retreats. Guru Ma said she went on and traveled to these retreats in her finer bodies, making an incredible statement saying, God has set up these force fields of the etheric retreats as highly concentrated centers of light so that we could appeal to the masters and invoke their light for the liberation of the planet. It has been said that there is enough violet flame energy anchored in the retreats of the violet flame masters on this planet to free the earth entirely and bring it into the golden age of Aquarius. It only remains for mankind to invoke that energy and that flame. Nothing else stands in the way of the victory. End of quote by Guru Ma. Talk about a wow, enough energy anchored in the violet flame retreats alone to draw down the golden age. I have to say, wow, incredible. Many times when we think of retreats, we focus in on a hierarchy of a retreat. For example, the Mahachohan is the retreat of the Temple of Comfort. However, there is an entire supporting cast of masters residing in these retreats. The brotherhood of the various retreats are branches or orders of the Great White Brotherhood. The sect I want to focus in on is the retreat's priestly brotherhood. because it is they that tend the flames there. These flames are not even natural to the etheric octave. Remember, the etheric plane is part of the matter universe, still in our matter world. The priestly brothers constantly draw down the concentrated, pure energy of God from the highest octaves of light into the etheric plane. If they were not tendered, nurtured, and guarded by this priestly class of brotherhood, the flames would return to their natural octave in the highest spiritual realms. Upon Atlantis, the flames, representing the virtue of God, were housed in physical buildings, also called temples. The unascended chelas of the Great White Brotherhood of that era often visited the temple, which contained the flame of the God quality they desired to absorb, adding to their own aura the added strength, power, and vitalizing essence of that virtue. For example, the Maxim light was an unfed flame that burned in the Temple of Incal on Atlantis. The flame, which cast a light of intense power, burned in the shape of a giant spearhead and was over 3 times the height of a tall man. Every flame has its unique color, scheme, vibration, shape, quality, etc. The 20th century was the first time since the sinking of Atlantis the retreats have been open for the chelas to visit in their projected etheric consciousness. The heart center of an ascended master retreat is the sacred flame chamber, where a particular God virtue is housed in the form of a flame. It's a concentrated elixir of a particular God quality that the brotherhood maintains through adoration, meditation, sustained attention, invocation, and scientifically designed breathing exercises. Everything is done with mathematical precision to maintain and tend these flames. These flames stored in the retreats have tremendous, tremendous power, as we've heard. And as we proceed, consider how we might tap into these tremendous resources, which we have been granted access to through Ascended Master dispensations. I first zoomed in on this concept when reading material from the Bridge to Freedom. They had a limited dispensation to work with the etheric retreats. I was really struck by one aspect of their teaching. They taught that in 1952, cosmic law required Sanat Kumara to return to his home planet Venus within 20 years. For 4.5 million years, Sanat Kumara had made Earth his home, giving his light to the planet to keep it from being dissolved. His leaving would cause catastrophe because Earth did not emit enough light to maintain its orbit within the solar system. And without the energy contained in Sanat Kumara's causal body, the planet would not continue to exist. The Mahachohan felt the decreed efforts of students were insufficient to increase the light quotient for Sanat Kumara to be released, and that the use of decree groups needed to be enriched. The Mahachohan came up with the idea of what he considered the most effective means to provide a lacking light quotient for the Earth. The Bridge movement started holding what they called transmission flame services, the object being to draw down the flames stored in the etheric retreats to saturate the entire planet with light. It was a coordinated effort of the unascended chelas in their various locations and sanctuaries around the world, in conjunction with the Great White Brotherhood and all the legions of light assisting our Earth to move the flame from the open retreat of the Ascended Masters, directing it around the world to cover the entire planet with the God qualities of that particular retreat. The stepping down of the retreat's vibration brings the maximum benefit to the 4 lower bodies of mankind. The purpose of their service was to draw down enough light to planet Earth to allow Sanat Kumara to return to Venus. The success of the transmission flame service exceeded all expectations of the Great White Brotherhood. Already at the end of 1955, the light of Earth had increased to such an extent that Sanakumara could be released. This tremendous accomplishment really struck me as relevant to the world scene today, since we have a similar situation in terms of small numbers of unascended Chilas as they did back then, but they were still able to draw down into the physical tremendous quotients of light from the etheric power centers of the planet. Today, we have the privilege of studying a dictation by the Mahachohan. It was given on August 29, 1954, in conjunction with the Ascended Master Kuthumi, who was the Chohan of the second ray of wisdom at the time. This dictation describes a flame transference from the retreat to the Mahachohan, the Temple of Comfort, in Sri Lanka, formerly known as Ceylon. He is known as the Great Lord because he oversees the Chohans of the seven rays. They meet regularly in his retreat in Sri Lanka, and this is where the flame of the Holy Spirit is at its most concentrated form as magnetized by the Mahachohan from the great central sun of cosmos. The Holy Spirit of God is the animating principle of life, and the Mahachohan, as the representative of the Holy Spirit, stands as the cosmic dispenser of every atom of electronic energy which fills this universe in cosmic rhythmic waves. We as unascended life cannot comprehend the megatons of cosmic energy which is released into this universe hourly and freely dispensed through the life streams of all mankind. The Mahachohan, in his final embodiment as a shepherd in India, the light that he quietly drew forth as he kept the flame for millions of life streams. He gained his mastery by consecrating his four lower bodies as a chalice for the flame of the Holy Spirit, and his consciousness as a step-down transformer for the emanations of Sanakumara, the Ancient of Days. At birth, the Mahachohan provides our first breath, and when we depart this plane, he takes our final breath. The Holy Spirit is the breath of life. What the air is for the body, the Holy Spirit is for the soul. The Mahachohan begins his discourse. Beloved ones, it is with great pleasure that I submit for your enjoyment a resume of the report of my beloved son Kuthumi on the transmission flame ceremony held at my retreat on the island of Ceylon on the evening of August 21st preceding. It is my hope that each one of my children will join his or her energies with ours every evening while this retreat is active. You have asked me at one time or another how you may assist in this endeavor, and I say to you, my children, the expanding the transmission flame is one of the most efficacious means of awakening the consciousness of the people, because the light stirs the flame in the heart into action, and in a divinely natural way illumines the intellect, thereby arousing an interest in God's plan for the universe. I welcome each one of you hourly or daily into my retreat. Beloved Kuthumi speaks. Beloved friends, for those of you who have contemplated even intellectually the gifts of the Holy Spirit, there must come a realization of the magnificence of this being, the Mahachohan, who embodies the fully developed mastery and control of all of the qualities of the seven rays. Those of us who are given the opportunity of qualifying our energy after the pattern of the great Holy Spirit and creating a rhythmic pulsation of even one of these gifts know full well the amount of mastery that is required in becoming a radiating center for all of those virtues, in order to supply upon the demand of embodied mankind, as well as all of the Ascended Master Kingdom, as much of that virtue as any life shall call forth to use. Have you thought when you call for purity or when you call for peace, that if some being had not chosen to qualify primal life with the gift you asked for, there would be no source of already consecrated purity, peace, healing, or forgiveness? Some intelligences, even like yourselves, facing the source of all life, have taken primal life and through the use of free will have passed the energy of feeling through it and thus created the foci of these great cosmic gifts. Then after they created these great foci, these beings have stood guard over that qualified life energy, holding it and increasing it with every heartbeat until the hour when it should be invited into the world of men. Then a beam from that cosmic presence and that aura carries the virtue to wherever it is called. Touch the hem of the garment of the Holy Spirit, you who need comfort. Invite a ray from his great cosmic heart into yours, and let the energies of your world embody the magnificence which he has garnered from the sun. Long before you call, has he answered and builded that comfort for the day when you would require it. Within that comfort are those gifts of forbearance, of fortitude, of humility, reverence, and piety. Within that comfort are all those gifts, those many gifts of divine nature of goodness. The beloved Mahachohan himself presides tonight in the great flame chamber, where he is demonstrating to the gathered brotherhood the activity which engages his energies as he becomes the magnet for all the primal life that is used on the planet Earth. This activity is a most sacred one, and it is seldom that unascended eyes have the privilege to witness a being drawing such power. However, as every unascended being is also a magnet drawing primal life, the Mahachohan thought that perhaps if individuals witness with the inner sight how life is magnetized, drawn, and qualified, it would give to each witnessing this activity a greater realization of the responsibility of drawing this primal life, as well as a desire to use it to create something of beauty, something that would be a blessing to the universe, or something that would be a spiritual heritage for the rest of mankind. The flame chamber in the heart of the Ceylon retreat is the focus on the earth, which through our beloved Mahachohan pours the blessings of life into the nature kingdom. As you stand near the entrance of that great chamber, you can see the white flame of comfort, which has the appearance of a large and beautiful water lily. As the flame reaches out to the periphery of the room, it becomes a delicate pink at the edges. In the center of that lily flame stands the living presence of the beloved Mahachohan in his seamless white robe and beautiful turban, with a great emerald in the center of that turban. Around his body dances the tremendous light, which is his natural aura, being the magnet for all the energy in the earth. The nature devas have created a canopy over the entire island of Ceylon, duplicating the same beautiful white lily. That canopy of light is quite exquisite because they have created the flower with the cup facing downward, the stamen being pink, the flower itself having pink edges to match the large flame flower in the temple. The entire island is held within that canopy, and the fragrance of comfort and peace emanating from it is magnificent. From the center of the large flame have been created 7 similar flame flowers, one for each of the 7 Chohans. In the center of the lesser flower, each one of us has focused the particular gift of our rays, a cosmic pulsation which we will join with the mother flame as it passes into the inner bodies of the students when the transmission of the flame around the world begins. The beloved Mahachohan has now turned his attention inward, which makes the flame in his heart visible. This is expanding now until his form is no longer visible within it. As you look upon him now, you can see the activity of the magnetization in its greatest power as far as the earth is concerned. And from the sun comes a tremendous, concentrated river of force, which is not automatic, but is invoked and magnetized by the spirit of the Maha Chohan. As that mighty river of force enters into the heart of the flame, one has to recede, because the entire room becomes a battery of such magnificent, concentrated light that is too powerful for even those while acting in the freedom of the etheric body. However, as one looks into the river of force from a safe distance, it will be seen that it looks like a rainbow in 7 colors representing the rays. As those rainbow currents enter the heart of the Maha Chohan, they are deflected, one color going into the heart of each one of the 7 lilies, as well into the heart of the Chohan who represents that particular ray. Now you get the picture of the great cosmic currents flowing from the heart of the sun and how they enter the atmosphere of Earth. They are diffused into 7 colors, the pure white light, until it enters the body of the Maha Chohan, where it is transformed into 7 colors, like a living rainbow. As the 7 colors pass into the body of the Maha Chohan, they are in turn drawn into the bodies of the 7 Chohans, each one magnetizing his own ray. Now, if you will look, you will see that each Chohan diffuses his ray and directs it out to the angelic, human, and elemental kingdoms. For instance, in the first ray, the most intense, pure, and deep sapphire blue passes into the angelic kingdom. The delicate hue, the baby blue, and the powder blue goes into the elemental kingdom, and the medium blue flows into the human kingdom. It is an easy matter to pick out chelas by the depth of the concentrated ray, each chela magnetizing the ray from the Chohan under whose direction he comes. All around the world, even as I am speaking, in sanctuaries, groups, and homes, the conscious chelas are magnetizing the ray, each from his own Chohan, so that the diffusion of colors is very intricate in its design. As these rays pass into the chelas, they in turn diffuse the rays again, some consciously and others unconsciously, until the atmosphere around them is suffused with various colors. The silent watchers of the various vicinities gather up these colors in the atmosphere and anchor them into the mass of the people until every soul and embodiment gets a part of the ray to which he belongs, and embodied in the ray is the gift which it represents. The angelic kingdom follows the same procedure, but the angels, rather than diffusing the radiation as the human kingdom does, intensifies it. The elemental also takes its portion of that color, say of the powder blue, and holds it until by a concentration of his faith, he brings it up again into the deep sapphire blue. The Devic, the angelic, and the elemental kingdoms, for the most part, intensify the color. Mankind as a whole think very little of the light they use, but this being who has magnetized the light and passed it down to us has given us the responsibility of choosing the light streams who can best amplify it. We in turn pass that life on to you, hoping that you will amplify it positively. You in turn give it to someone who you see will benefit by it, and so on ad infinitum. Then on the return current, the responsibility passes back. The chelas are held responsible to their Chohans who gave the light to them in the first place. These Chohans are responsible to the Maha Chohan. The Maha Chohan is responsible to the sun. Therefore, he is most careful of the conscious energies that are given in dictations and in the conveying of confidences to individuals who might be just playing with the law. Now we come to the heart of this earth. From the sun flows this magnificent stream of energy. I have never seen a more concentrated outpouring of that cosmic rainbow into the heart of the Maha Chohan than tonight. The 7 great Elohim and the 7 great archangels are standing over Asia and pouring their radiation into that continent. The radiation spreads out until it covers the planet. The archangels are concentrating on India. The Mahachohan is responsible for all that energy poured out by these mighty beings. It passes into his consciousness, and the greater the pressure from the beings above, the more control he has to hold it as he embodies it. He then releases that energy to each one of the Chohans, and each one of us is taxed to his fullest capacity this night. At the moment that the transmission flame activity begins, each Chohan enters into the heart of his own lotus lily and presses the momentum of his gift upon every member of the race belonging to his ray. We have opened the door tonight so that those out of embodiment and those awaiting physical birth may be similarly blessed. The beloved Dwal Kul acting for me is standing with the Mahachohan. He is rendering the service, as always, of acting as a sponsor for the retreat, and he has welcomed the guests since the 15th of the month. He has been acting for me until I can enter the flame myself. Now I will ask you all to enter into the heart of the silence and draw into yourself the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit from the heart of the Mahachohan. So ends the dictation by the beloved Mahachohan. Released through our teachings, the messengers, Mark and Elizabeth Clare Prophet, is a wider access to the retreats of the Brotherhood. We have been greatly blessed by the Great White Brotherhood and the many dispensations they have given us. Gautama Buddha opened the etheric retreats in 1986 to a much larger earthly audience. Dwal Kul has given us critical teachings on the breath as the sacred fire breath. The Mahachohan has counseled us to use this sacred fire breath. It is that fire breath that expands the threefold flame within our heart. Think about a flame. What do you do to get the flame to grow? How does a fire grow? Air. It is that breath of life, the breath of the Holy Spirit that fans the threefold flame, balances, grows, and expands it so that we can be God beings here on earth to bless this planet. The thrust here is to take our current teachings and dispensations to the power of the spoken word, meditations, knowledge of the retreats, and the sacred fire breath to perform a monthly service. We are calling this the Worldwide Flame Transference Ritual. Our objective is to consciously absorb, expand, and direct the radiation of one of the etheric retreats to light up the planet each month with the flame of that particular retreat's God virtue. Our overriding objective is the transference of these flames to saturate the physical earth to precipitate the golden age on Terra. Our role as unascended life here in the physical would be to serve as an electrode of cosmic Christ consciousness, to be transmitters and amplifiers of the retreat's flame, and thus the retreat's force field or sphere of influence would be greatly enlarged and intensified on the earth. Think about for a moment if you've ever been near one of the Royal Teton retreats, for instance. One of the retreats of the Masters, for instance, if you're in the Teton Mountains looking for St. Germain's Cave of Symbols or looking for the Grand Teton Retreat, as you approach those peaks, you start to feel something. It feels like a sanctuary. You feel the great light of the etheric retreat because now you've entered the periphery of the sphere of influence of that retreat. Even in the physical, it impinges on the physical, but that dissipates very rapidly in the physical, so it doesn't extend around the world. It's our job here as unascended life, as Chelas of the Great White Brotherhood, to expand the light, to expand those flames of God, so they circle the earth and circle our planet. So this is a great teaching that we can come upon and we can use to greatly leverage our spiritual work. So we'll coordinate our activities with that of the Brotherhood of the particular retreat on the month we're working with, as they breathe out the flame to the periphery of their retreat sphere of influence. We will in turn inbreathe the flame in a counterpoint fashion to their out-breath, qualifying it with our own breath and the physical power of our own consciousness in threefold flame. So the centerpiece of our ritual is really the Dwal Kul breath meditation. The breath is the key. Your breath is qualified life drawn into your body, clothed in the substance of your consciousness, and breathed forth again to contribute to the heritage of the race. The assimilation and expansion of the flame is accomplished through the breath, with the goal of using the breath as a bridge to transfer the flame from the etheric retreat to the entire physical earth. Now we're going to have our first flame transference ritual, which, like I said, we'll be doing once a month to anchor the particular God quality of the retreat we're working with. It's a week from the next coming Sunday. It'd be April 14th. It's going to be approximately a 30-minute service, 7 to 7:30, and we'll be sending out an announcement with more specifics soon. And then what we can do after this monthly service, and we've drawn the flame, what I would recommend that you do is, when we send out the announcement, is to go to the retreats of that, maybe the week before, starting the week before, go to the retreats of that we're going to work with the hierarch, work with the brotherhood there, get the quality, the color, the vibration, the shape of the flame, and all the qualities around it. And then when we do the flame transference, we'll be able to very effectively see that and move that. And then for the rest of the month, we can, use our own spiritual practices, our daily decree work and other spiritual practices to continue to amplify and direct that flame. Thank you, great Lord Mahachohan. Let our hearts be filled with the fire of the Holy Spirit, the great animating principle of life. We claim this spirit, this fire, this flame as God's love that abides within our hearts for all mankind. We claim the transfer of its flame within our hearts from the flaming heart of the Mahachohan, that we may be the dwelling place of the Holy Spirit, the Most High God. Let it be so. Amen.